Hey, thank you so much for tuning in today. In the past, I've talked about my experience and my opinions when working in a self-contained preschool classroom. Today, I'm going to talk about my experience in the 2025 through 2026 school year with working in an inclusive classroom, what I've learned, and my opinions on this whole classroom setting. So what is an inclusive classroom? An inclusive classroom is when you're mixing general education students and special needs students into one classroom versus having one for general education students and one for special needs students. So what I was told the purpose of this classroom is to get both different types of students to understand each other. It gives the general education students to learn that there are other people that are different, that have different needs than they do, and it helps them maneuver differently when it comes to society and as they get older. For the special needs students, it helps them get the experience of learning how gen education children move. For example, if you're in a self-contained classroom and you're nonverbal, you're with other students that are also nonverbal, you're not able to develop your communication skills. But if you're put in a inclusive classroom, you're able to hear other students talk, you're able to hear them communicate, and you had that experience to possibly help you develop your communication skills and how you interact with others. So working in this kind of classroom setting helped me learn a couple things. When it comes to general education students, it took us a while to get them to understand that these students have more needs than they do, because we've noticed that when we attend to special needs students for maybe eating purposes or help them self-regulate, the general education student might feel neglected in a way, and they might seek out attention where they're not understanding, we're not doing this to give them more attention, or we don't love them any more than you do. They just have special needs and we need to accommodate those. So that was a difficult challenge, but it also helped the gen ed student understand it after a few months, and they also wanted to come and help those special needs students what they needed, and it was a beautiful thing to see. Having one or two special needs students in a general education classroom, in my opinion, I felt it was more of a trial and error situation where I see the difference in those students developing differently than they would in their self-contained classroom. For example, I see them approaching students more because the general education students are in their face more. They're more talking to them. They're more interacting with them. So it helps the special needs students approach them more. Versus being in self-contained, everyone's in their own world. You have one person screaming, you have another one trying to stay calm, they're trying to self-regulate themselves, where in a general education room, there's less situations going on like that individually. Is it worth putting your special needs child into a classroom with general education students? Yes. In my opinion, it's worth it. It gives them a different kind of opportunity, not just being secluded in just one room all day long with all kids with special needs. And it'll help them in the real world because they're only going to get older. They're going to be becoming adults soon, and they need that experience. I would suggest when the time comes, if you're given that opportunity, is to really discuss accommodations that they'll be giving your child. For example, the month of September, it took me a whole month to get all the accommodations that my special needs students needed. One student in particular needed a cherry. A cherry is a different kind of chair that helps the student sit up properly and keep their feet on the floor. My classroom did not have that. They had all the chairs given for the general education students. So I had to fight and get that. They needed a cube chair to, again, sit properly at the carpet. We were not given that. All of the toys and items given for choice time and center times, nothing accommodated the student with special needs. None of the learning activities for small group were accommodating that student with special needs. So when it comes down to it, when you do have that IEP meeting to put your child into that classroom, you need to make sure they're accommodated with every single thing they need in that classroom before going in. Another example I can give is all the special needs classrooms have a microwave. Some students only eat certain things. It could be mac and cheese. It could be a waffle every single day. If you know students with special needs, some of them like the same thing every single day for lunch, or they might switch up and have that for the next few months. But a microwave, little things as a microwave, only special needs classroom have that. So if you move into an inclusive classroom, if your child only eats waffles every single day for lunch and you need a microwave for that, and that classroom doesn't have that, that should be something accommodated or written in their IEP. They need a microwave in the classroom, so that can be in the classroom for them. Bad part, I felt that this wasn't discussed prior, and don't get me wrong, it was a lot of little things. It wasn't there weren't huge accommodations that needed to be made, but they were things that definitely had to be discussed before the school year had started. Anyone that out there that has a special needs child that we're thinking of putting in a general education classroom called inclusive, and you're having doubts, I personally think, in my opinion, is a great opportunity for them. But again, make sure when you make that change, you are making sure all their accommodations are being met and making sure that that classroom is what's right for them. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.